What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Cincinnati Reds franchise. This was originally supposed to be a live commentary video. Instead, it is going to be the normal post commentary. I just felt like the live commentary was just a whole lot of nothing and a whole lot of rambling. But Hunter Green will be back in this episode, as this is going to be a jam-packed episode here, consisting of the All-Star break, Hunter Green's return, and the 2024 first-year player draft. So we're excited to get this one underway, as I think we've really struggled as we just went through a live stream of June, and now here we are into July. And I kind of decided I'm just going to go through the entire month of July here. We're 40-44 to start the video, and with that loss to the St. Louis Cardinals, we are now on a 10-game losing streak. It's really been unfortunate here. Injuries have held this team back as we pick up the win on Tuesday the 2nd, my birthday, against the Cardinals. So at least we get a birthday victory for myself here. But to lose 10 games in a row is definitely holding us back right now. Injuries are the big thing that's definitely hurt us, as Hunter Green, like I said, will be making his return in this episode. And then we just got Tyler Stevenson back in the live stream when we went through June. So this is a 4-game series against the Cardinals here. We're looking to try and split, as the 4th of July game is up next. And we are going to get a critical situation, which I honestly haven't played any critical situations so far this season. I should start playing more instead of doing like player locks. We should probably do some critical situations, and then maybe we don't have to have an episode where we play a full game every single time, as Hunter Green is back from injury and he is set to come off of the injured list. And here is the All-Stars Futures game, which I wanted to get into that. But before we get into that, there is the first-year player draft. We're going to send Joe Ross down since Hunter Green is healthy and ready to return. And here we are, looking at the queue that I have queued up for us. You know, when I was going through this with the live commentary, it would have been really fun for the draft, and I think that would have been the only thing that was fun. But here we are ready to get this draft underway, as the Colorado Rockies will select with the first overall pick. They decide to take, I believe this was a starting pitcher here that I did not scout. We didn't scout any pitchers. It's Eddie Moreno, starting pitcher. He was 5th on our board and 4th on the MLB board. 21 years old. He's probably going to be ready to go fairly early here in his career. A righty who opted out of his doctor exam, so there's a good chance he could potentially be injured. But just because you opt out doesn't mean you are injured. As next was the Washington Nationals, and they would take the top-rated prospect on our board and pretty much everybody else's board, Drew Kendall, who was 2nd in the MLB, and he was number 1 on our board with that 82 to 94 potential, 19 years old. I think he would have been easily the safest selection in this draft. And here we are for the 3rd pick, and it is the Oakland Athletics, and they're going to take the center fielder that we scouted a little bit. I think it's a Scott Gentry is his name. No, Brandon Lowry, my fault. There is a Scott Gentry who is an outfielder, but Brandon Lowry was 2nd on our board, but we didn't scout him. I mean, when I looked at him, his ratings didn't look good at all. He is more of a defensive player. He's not going to really hit the ball that well, so I want somebody who can hit the ball and preferably play a little bit of defense, as number 1 on my board was Gerald Swift, a shortstop who I believe could even play the outfield potentially for us. His defense looked good, and he looked like a really good hitter. But as you are about to see right now, Gerald Swift was taken by the Seattle Mariners, 1 pick ahead of us. Just like last year, the Oakland Athletics took our selection, and unfortunately now I have to decide between Andy Burke, who is a big-time power hitter with great arm strength and great arm accuracy. He's 7th on our board, so it would be around the time that he would be predicted to go, or Mikey Ishii, because he has that 73 to 88 potential, but look at his contact and his vision and discipline. So we know what Mikey Ishii can do. He can hit good. He can hit for contact. He's going to hit for average. He could be a 300 hitter. But outside of that, he's not going to hit many home runs, and his defense is kind of lackluster. Andy Burke's going to hit home runs, and he could probably play the outfield where we have more of a need. Coming down here in the live commentary, this would have been the best part of the video, because I just couldn't make my mind up. Did I want Mikey Ishii? Did I want Andy Burke? These are 2 guys who are pretty much polar opposites. Andy Burke can play defense and hit for power. Mikey Ishii hits for contact, can't play any defense. And I didn't even have a chance to even take Mikey Ishii. That's who the game took for me. I was going to take him anyway, but we selected him 6 overall. You know, it was a tough decision, because Andy Burke, we knew was going to be a guy who hits for power. But I didn't necessarily just want him because he had great power numbers. here we are now in still the first round, and the Houston Astros end up taking Andy Burke because he slipped a lot farther than I thought he was going to. I think that he was projected at 12 on the MLB board, 7th on our board. The Astros maybe got a steal here. We know that he can hit for power, like I've said 5 times now. But his vision and discipline, his contact skills, his speed just wasn't enough for me to want to take him. And that is the reason I didn't take him. Here's Vance Coggin now as we're in the second round for our second selection. And this is a relief pitcher who has the 83 to 88 potential, 63 to 68 overall from the start, 23 years old. So those attributes are very, very close range. So Vance Coggin could be a guy who comes in with that 4-pitch mix and can be a very solid relief pitcher for us. 90% interest. The bonus demand is only $1.8 million. I thought this was a pretty obvious decision here out of New York. He's a guy who could probably come in and play at the big leagues in probably year 3. You know, that first year, I think he could pitch for us. As you look at some of our bullpen arms already, they are in the 60s. So I think it was kind of an obvious decision. Juan Quezada, that 79 to 98 potential, which is very intriguing. But you look at his overall, he's not going to be good until probably 2 or 3 years into his big league career. Vance Coggin could be at the big leagues in his first year. I think he can move up the ranks pretty quickly. Also, if you notice, Chu Tan was taken by the Mariners. He was another guy that I was quite interested in. But Vance Coggin, I think, was a very, very solid pick. 23 years old, but as a reliever, you know, he can play at that high 60 overall. There's no problem, and there's no issue with getting a guy out there that's 67, 66 overall in your bullpen if he can put up the numbers. Now here's Alfonso Silva, another relief pitcher I was kind of interested in. His potential is not very good, but like I said, you can throw a reliever out there with 72 overall, and he can be very solid. So I decided to take Alfonso Silva. I think the bullpen is what I wanted to improve upon the most in this draft. I think our starters are probably good for the future. We have a lot of young, good starters, but a lot of them I'm kind of unsure on as well. So I didn't go with any starters here. I didn't scout any starters. Maybe next year that's the plan. Here's Adrian Castro, a left fielder who we'd be taking a little bit ahead of where he'd be projected, even on our board, and we only have him 35% scouted. So kind of a shot in the dark on Castro. We don't really know what to expect there. And then the next pick was going to be William Chung out of Chinese Taipei, I believe, 18 years old. The potential looks nice. His overall not going to be great to start. Here's Luis Delgadio, a guy that I should have taken. I'll tell you right now that I didn't take him, but he did turn out to have very good potential, and that kind of sucks. He's going to be somebody that comes in low overall to start, but he is going to be somebody that could be good in the future. We ended up taking Alan Wiley instead. And then our last selection here is going to be Ray Perez, who we don't know anything about, but it's kind of like I said, another shot in the dark. So we took Ray Perez to finish off this draft, and I got to say, I kind of felt not like comfortable with this draft. I thought that we didn't come away with that star player that we wanted, especially picking 6th. I thought there was a chance we probably could, but it turns out we didn't. And then looking at this, well, you know, I don't want to spoil anything yet, but looking at the home run derby here, you got a couple of great contestants here. And then Thomas Wolf is going to be playing in this All-Star game, a guy we really haven't taken a look at. Maybe we'll take a look at him in the future. He's lower overall, so we kind of want to wait until he's more ready before we kind of take a look, player lock with him. But I'm going to player lock with Marco Bautista here, who we drafted in our first draft with our first selection, and he has very good potential. He's very good hitting as far as contact and getting on base, but his defense is a little lackluster, and he really doesn't hit for power. But like I said, we know that he has good contact, as he's going to ground this one to the second baseman. They're trying to turn 2, and he is safe going into first. So Marco Bautista, fielder's choice there. He's going to try and steal now. Here is Bautista sliding in a second, and he is out to end the inning. So poor Marco Bautista can't get the stolen base here in the All-Star game. He's 0 for 2 now. Bottom of the 6th, Josh Walker on the mound here for the other All-Star team, as Bautista's going to hit this one into center field, and he's going to hold up at first with a leadoff base hit here in the 6th inning. So yeah, I'm excited for Marco Bautista. I don't know how long it's going to take for him to get his opportunity at the big leagues, but I think next year he starts out at AAA, and then from there, I think we could probably call him up. He's probably going to make the spring training roster, so look out for that and see if he actually does. And then here we are now in the actual MLB All-Star game, and we have one participant, and that is Jonathan India, who's batting .315 on the season with 11 homers. And I got to say, Jonathan India has been playing very good this season, on pace to have his best season yet. So, I mean, I've been impressed with him. He's hitting for great contact, and then we went on a little run. I don't know if you guys watched the live stream at all, but I think I hit like 5 home runs with him in a matter of just 2 games. And here he is sending one out to left center field. All-Star game still here in Seattle. I do not know why, but that's going to be a pop out. And runner on third didn't tag, so no RBI for Jonathan India. Yeah, when I was doing a live commentary, I had noticed that the All-Star game's in Seattle again. MLB The Show needs to fix that. In franchise, I don't want to play an All-Star game at the same place every year. Not to mention that the Seattle Mariners uniforms constantly have an All-Star game patch. Doesn't matter how far into the future you go. Here we are getting a player lock with Christian Encarnacion Strand, who's actually playing very good at AAA. Here he's playing in an All-Star game, so he may be a guy who gets to call up a little bit, potentially before the season ends, as he only had 4 at-bats, I believe, before being sent down, as he tried to stretch the single into a double, and he was thrown out at second. So here he is now, bottom 10th, with an opportunity to potentially walk off this game, as he's going to ground this one over to third, and he is retired. So Christian Encarnacion Strand, unfortunately, only got 1 hit in this game, but there's a chance to kind of look at him because he may be getting a chance to get up to the big leagues before the season's over. Here's Mikey Ishii. We're offering him a $5.5 million signing bonus. He will take it. Looks like he wants to wear number 25 as well. So we'll get a look at his overall at the end of this video, but he was our first selection. Did we jump the gun on him? Should we have taken Andy Burke? I don't know. Ishii looks like he could be a fun guy. Here's Vance Coggin right here. This was a relief pitcher that we took, and he's decided to sign with us. Looks like he wants to wear number 9, but that 83 to 88 potential looks really good on Vance Coggin. Here's Alfonso Silva. Now we're trying to offer a deal, and he's decided that he will sign with us. So be interested to see if he turns out to be a pretty good option for us. As here we are, we're going to try and sign some more selections as the Chicago Cubs have beat us in the first 2 games of the series, and we're slowly dipping even further down below 500 as we're 43 and 50, and make that 43 and 51 as we get swept by the Cubs. Now we're going to be able to get to see Hunter Green, though, against the New York Mets, and I think that's what everybody's been waiting on. He was putting up Cy Young numbers before he got injured. He's finally back. Joey Votto's also finally back to be able to play down at AAA. As, you know, I wish that he didn't regress so much. I wish he would have just retired, to be honest with you. So here we are with Hunter Green, as he was pitching so well to start the season, gets injured. Once he gets injured, it feels like the entire season just started to fall apart, as Starling Marte lines this one over Jonathan India's head for a leadoff base hit here in New York. One of my favorite ballparks to play at here in this game, as here is Brandon Nimmo batting .275, and he goes down looking 101 in the inside corner for Hunter Green. Here's Pete Alonso now, and he goes down swinging for out number 3, so a pretty good bounce back inning after the first base runner was reached. Here's Francisco Lindor sending this one to deep center field, and it is gone. I thought for a second that it was robbed. Instead, Francisco Lindor crushes this one to center field. And here's Brett Beatty now, bottom second, 2-2 count. And he goes down swinging for strikeout. Third strikeout for Hunter Green. And here's Connor Joe now, who strikes out to end the second inning. 4 strikeouts for Hunter Green here in this game. Here's Starling Marte again in the bottom of the third. And he sends this one down the line. It gets down and it's going to roll to the wall. And that one is going to advance both runners, 1 to third, 1 to second. Nobody out here in the third. And Hunter Green is in a little bit of a jam. And I thought he was injured. It turns out it was Starling Marte who gets injured. I thought it was Hunter Green. Finally, it doesn't happen to us. Here's Brandon Nimmo now, and he sends this one over to De La Cruz, and he throws on a first for out number 1. But a run does score for the New York Mets, as here's Jeff McNeil now. He's 0 for 1, and he sends this one in the gap of left center field, and it gets down. That one is going to score a run, and that's going to allow Jeff McNeil to get the RBI double. The Mets now lead this one 3-1. Here's Francisco Lindor now, and he goes down swinging to end the third. Another strikeout for Hunter Green, but he's allowed 3 earned so far in this game. Here's Jack Sawinski. He goes down swinging 101 on the outside corner. Here's Connor Joe now. He's going to ground this one over to De La Cruz, on to India, and on to Crone for the double play. So Hunter Green is through 4 in this game. Here he is in the 5th inning. He gets Francisco Alvarez looking. Here's Brandon Marbury now, was taken in the first draft of the series, and he goes down looking. He was only batting 139 coming into this game. Jeff McNeil 1 for 2 here in the bottom of the 6th, And what an ugly swing. Another strikeout for Hunter Green. He is dealing now after struggling in the first couple of innings. Here's Lindor. Here's a chopper to Gio Urshela. He snags it. Throws on to Crone. What a stretch by CJ Crone. That's going to end the sixth, as Hunter Green's having himself a pretty decent outing, only allowing 3 earned, 4 hits allowed. Here we are, bottom 7 now. Brett Baty up to the plate, and he crushes this one to right field. The Reds right fielder is not even going to look up. Brett Baty with the solo shot gives the New York Mets a 4-2 lead, his 9th on the year. And unfortunately, that is going to do it for Hunter Green. He goes 6 innings, allowing 4 earned runs. And here's Victor Castaneda to take over. We're going to quick manage here. We're down by 3 as India walks. Stevenson singles. CJ Crone up to the plate here. And he's going to tie the game. CJ Crone, a 2-for-5 day. Urshela up to the plate. And he hits a home run. And the Cincinnati Reds are going to have a 7-6 lead. What an exciting moment that we weren't even watching live. We were watching it on like a box score as we continue to score runs in the top of the 9th, 5 runs to be exact. And we have an 8-6 lead with Alexis Diaz on the mound here. Strikeout, strikeout, and strikeout to end the night. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Alexis Diaz says to the Mets lineup. The first 3 as well. So he goes through them, and we get a win. Is this the type of win that can get this Reds team back on track? You know, that's what everybody's probably wondering, because we have really started to slip up in the standings, and I don't even know what has really caused it. Gio Urshela with 2 home runs in the game, and CJ Crone also with a home run, along with Nick Senzel hitting a home run. So we really need to find a way to get back on our winning, winning ways. You know, the train is off the tracks right now. We got to find a way to get the train back on the tracks. Here's Will Benson. We're going to send down to AAA since Stuart Fairchild is able to be reinstated and put back on the MLB roster from his injury. William Chung has decided that he will sign with the Cincinnati Reds. He was 79th on our board, the 18-year-old relief pitcher. And here we are in another game as we're going to win this one 6-5. Christian Encarnacion, a little shaken up after that game. And the Mets are able to stop us from sweeping them. And here's another critical situations moment, as we've had a bunch of them in this episode. Adrian Castro has decided he will sign with us. Brandon Williamson injured in that game. We are split with the Washington Nationals, and we lose another series, unfortunately. We just can't find a way to win series, and that is what is really stopping us, as we are split with the Cubs right now. Can we win this series? As the Cubs have a 5-4 lead, they end up winning 6-5, and we lose yet again another series. So really starting to slip up right now, and I really don't know what we have to do to improve, as Ray Perez is the only guy that we still need to sign, and he still has decided he's not going to sign. I mean, come on, man. We took you super late in the draft. Just sign the contract. So we finally win again against the Nationals, and we finally win a series, is what I was going to say. So first series win in what feels like ages, as now we have all of our draft picks signed, and we are now 8.5 back in the NL Central, 7 back in the wild card, and we're last place in the NL Central now. So what do we need to improve? I think that it's really starting pitching. I think our offense is not bad at all. I think our bullpen isn't bad at all. I think it's our starting pitching that has really struggled, and it's guys like Nick Lodolo and Graham Ashcraft who should be playing a lot better, but they're not. Also, guys like CJ Crone, he's batting .222 with 22 home runs, but I played against somebody named Jonathan Hernandez in the AAA All-Star game, and he was very hard to hit against. So I thought, CJ Crone, 34 years old, and we can get a guy like Jonathan Hernandez who can throw upwards of 102 to 103 miles per hour. I thought it was an easy trade, an obvious trade. And Jonathan Hernandez is beat potential, 27 years old, and he's already 72 overall. He could be potentially an 80 overall in a couple of years. Look at that, 99 velocity, 99 break, to give up somebody like CJ Crone, who we knew wasn't going to be a guy that's going to be on this future team. So we make that trade happen, and we're going to call up Christian Encarnacion Strand to play first base for us. You know, there's a reason that I looked at him in that AAA All-Star game. I think that he has potential to be pretty good in the future. Now, there was a couple of other trades that I considered doing as Cam Collier would get the call up to AAA. I want to get a look at Cam Collier in the next episode for sure. And here's Logan Allen. He's 25 years old, B potential, only 61 overall, unfortunately. But I think if we trade away Randall Grichuk, who's 74 overall, 32 years old, I think that's a solid trade. There's no telling if Logan Allen is going to be a guy who can ever make it to the big leagues, but at least he is depth that if we ever needed him, we could call him up. And then Austin Davis was the last guy I wanted to look at trade potential because he's D potential, 31 years old, 70 overall, but he's putting together a very good season with us. So I wanted to see, is there anything that I can do? Is there any trades that I can make? Unfortunately, no, there were no trades that I thought were good, as we still have control on Austin Davis, so there was no reason to really get rid of him. Last thing I will say, there was one player that I decided that I wasn't going to trade, but I was very interested in, as here's another trade that was very interesting. Noah Schultz, a starting pitcher in the White Sox organization, 20 years old, 69 overall right now, B potential for Jonathan India. It was a very, very, very intriguing trade. But in the end, 6'9", by the way, why isn't this guy playing basketball? In the end, I decided, no, I cannot do this trade. Noah Schultz looks really good. But unfortunately, Jonathan India is our best player right now. And I'm actually looking forward to having this guy become a career Cincinnati Red. So I did not make that move. We are 49 and 59. We're going to simulate 2 more games here. As we didn't play a lot of games in this episode because I knew that it was going to be a lot of administrative stuff like the MLB draft and calling guys up, trade deadline. So I decided I'm not going to play any games. I did want to get the game with Hunter Green for sure though. But we're 50 and 60, and that is where we're going to end this episode. We're not going to simulate any more games. Can we please get on our winning ways? Mikey Ishii is a 79 potential. I forgot that we were going to show this. 67 overall to start. The contacts looks really good. The vision looks really good. The clutch looks really good. I think that he has potential to be a good player for us. And even the power isn't in a bad spot at all. My one thing is, can he play first base? Because if he can play first base, I think we can get much better use out of him. Vance Coggin, B potential, 64 overall relief pitcher. I'm excited about this guy as he's got the things that I like to see. Alfonso Silva is a guy that could get up at the big leagues at some point. William Chung also has 78 potential, but he's 53 overall to start. And then the rest of the guys are not very good at all. Adam Wiley, not too good. His current overall is better than his potential. And then Ray Perez is also not that good. Andy Burke has 85 actual potential, and he's 62 overall to start. Going to have great power, but that's really the only thing. Arm accuracy and arm strength is really good, but it's just that power that looked very intriguing. And then Juan Quezada was another relief pitcher we were interested in. He looks pretty solid. Gerald Swift would have been my first pick if he hadn't been taken. The contact numbers look amazing. The vision looks amazing. The Seattle Mariners got some pretty good players. Drew Kendall was the number 1 guy on our board. He went number 2 in the draft. He's 90 potential, 72 overall to start. And if you look at it, we're 8 games back in the wild card. Now we're going to end this video. But I was going to say, there was one guy who I thought about potentially trading for like a prospect swap, and that was Noelvi Marte. We did not make that move, so he is going to remain in our system. But I can tell you right now that in this upcoming offseason, we have 2 more months left. In this upcoming offseason, we are going to be extremely aggressive because I want to build a team that can compete for a World Series. Not a division title, but for a World Series. So stay tuned because this next offseason is going to be amazing. But first, we got to get through 2 more months. Should I slow it down? Should I pick up the pace? I think this next episode is going to have a lot to say about what we're going to do the rest of this season. So stay tuned for that. We need to get back on our winning ways. We got pretty much everybody healthy that we need. So we'll see what we can do moving forward in this season. But we're 50 and 60, and that's where we're going to end this episode. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. See ya.